I'm Corey Kerr. I am a comic book creator and illustrator, animator, all that jazz. And I wanted to show you today how I am using this program to create reference for my characters. So this is a 3D program. It is really straightforward to use. I'd recommend watching the tutorial, but I kind of wanted to just take you through some of the things that I've done so you can kind of see some of this stuff. So this is a character that I've made, right? And you can kind of see that I can look at it from whatever angle I want to look at it from. I can zoom in, zoom out. And so it works really well that way, right? Let's check out a couple of others here. So here's a mantis that I created based off of this kind of photo. Cool. This is one of my main characters here. You can see him right here, right? Kind of helpful for kind of oddly shaped characters and objects to get you a basic idea. So in my comic, Rage of Enlightenment, I have a number of different characters that I kind of have come in and do different things. These are not the colors of those characters, but it gives me an idea of proportion and angles and things like that. So I'm going to create a new thing in this. This is an iPad app, and it always comes in and always starts with a little bit of a circle or a sphere. Most people recommend that you just delete that. So I'm going to come in here and I'm just going to delete that guy. It's kind of a layers panel. And if you click on that plus there, you can get into your primitives. And if you start with something like a sphere, then we can come in here like this. If you go into these, you can turn smooth shading on. And so you can, if you click in the sphere, the main thing is this gizmo, right? But right now, the gizmo isn't going to do much because it's, we've got this sphere. If we validate it, then we can come in and we can change the shape of this. We can stretch it out. So these controls will move it, the little arrow, and the circles will stretch it on that axis. You've got this little controller up here that will give you kind of the view, so you can hit the front or the top or whatever, right? And so let's do this. And then you've got all of these tools over here. I like the move tool. And you've got the size over here and kind of the intensity over here. And so this will kind of allow you to come in and sort of sculpt, right? And so you can start to kind of like move things like that, right? And if you want to smooth things out, there's a smooth, so you can come in and you can kind of smooth this out. Okay, I'll kind of start with some of this stuff, and then I'll come in and kind of just sort of start moving things around, adjusting them. But let's say that there's we want something on this. I can come in and I can add another thing. Let's add like a cylinder here, okay? And so the cylinder has different controls. You can kind of come in, you can make it taller, you can make it, be more or less on one side, right? And then when we have that the way that we want it, we can validate it, go to our gizmo here, we can rotate, right? We can move this in or out. I can also come in and I can add a mirror, and anything that ends up in this group is going to get added to that. So I can make this whole thing smaller. I can move it up. I can rotate it forward, rotate it around. Okay. And right now it's rotating the mirror. So I'm going to undo that with 2-finger tap there. And I'm going to select this guy. And then as I rotate it, you can see that it's kind of mirroring that rotation. This is really helpful for symmetrical crease. I can come in and I can paint different things. Now this is kind of weird. I'm going to switch to my gizmo. I'm going to jump over to this. I'm going to turn smoothing on just so I can kind of get some of that. Let's zoom in here and let's go back to crease and make this smaller. And I can come in and kind of paint little, lines or whatever in. That type of thing. Let's go back to our gizmo. Let's pull this out a little bit more. Okay, I can go move and I can, increase or decrease different parts of it by kind of moving it around, right? Let's say that we want this to be part of this object. One way to do that is to select that and select this, and then go to Boolean. And if I have anything hidden, it'll subtract that, and anything else is just going to turn into one shape. And I'm going to click Boolean. Now this is all one shape now. And so I can come in and I can smooth out these kind of edges here like this, right? That type of thing. If I wanted to subtract part of this, let's add something in here like this. And we'll go, let's just punch a hole through the middle. So let's just do a cylinder. We'll make it small. we will rotate it here. Gizmo, rotate. Just punch a hole right through the middle there. Okay, and then we'll go back here, and I'm going to grab these two things, but I'm going to turn the cylinder off. You can see it gives me a little like kind of halftone version of that. Turns that off. And with that, with one visibility turned off and one visibility turned on, I can go to Boolean again, and it kind of knocks a hole through that object there. Now I can come in, and I'm going to turn intensity down a little bit. I'm just going to smooth these edges so they're not so crazy. Let's look at some other things. I can come in and I can do a tube, right? And this looks like a cylinder at first, but when you click in the middle, you can add different things. We can come in and we can change the radius of this. Again, let's come in and smooth this out, right? So I can get this to kind of do whatever I want. I can add multiple radii so that, you know, you can do tentacles or whatever, right? You've got different things there. Can I add this around? And then we can kind of rotate around, right? So got all kinds of things. I do a lot of horns and antenna and things like that. And then, you know, just like always, once we validate it, you know, then we can come in and we can use the move tool to kind of make some adjustments to this. You can flatten parts of it out. You can drag things, right? So there's lots of different little controls that we've got. So let's talk about color. And I don't do a lot. I mainly just do this to kind of separate colors out. So just paint all, right? Go to Gizmo, select a different thing, come back over here, change it to something else, paint all, right? Or repeaters are really helpful. So I'm going to do like a radial repeater. Let me undo that. I'm going to come in and I'm going to create a new sphere. So let's go new sphere. Okay. And we'll jump over here and we'll smooth that out. And let's bring this up and make it smaller. And let's bring it kind of out here like this. Okay. Now I'm going to come in and I'm going to add a repeater, right? So I'm going to add, and let's do radial for now. Okay. And as we kind of zoom out here, you can see that it kind of does that. And if we go radial Y, you can increase this. Let's do like 12 right now. Okay. And you can see that it just kind of does that. And the repeater itself can be moved around. It can be rotated, those types of things. But if I grab one of these spheres and change it, you can see that it changes all of the other ones because it's repeating, right? And so if I validate this shape and I come into move, you know, then I can come in, grab one of these, and I can start, you know, messing with it, doing whatever, right? And you can see how you can get, you know, weird little repeating things there. Let's do another repeater here. So I'm going to come in, let's add this. Let's create a box this time. Okay. Now it inherited the repeater that it was part of, right? And so this doesn't look much like a cube, but what it's doing is it is inside of, or a sub layer of this radial repeater. So I can just take it and drag it out, right? Put it on its own. And then I can go and let's do an array. Okay. And now in this array, you've got size and count and those types of things, right? And so let's go count X and let's go 5. Okay. And you can see that it's kind of going in that direction, right? And I can say size 5. Okay. And it'll space them out like that. Now, if I also want count Y, let's also do that as 5. Then you can start to see like that, but let's space that out as well and go size 5, right? So now you can see that I've got this kind of like, it starts to have this little like grid type of thing. So let's open my wheelbarrow, okay? And you can see I used a repeater on the bell. Each one of these it's just a cube, you know, that I stretched out, or a cylinder that I kind of stretched out, or a tube that I kind of bent. And all of this kind of ends up being reference for me. If you want to see how I'm using this, check out my comic, Rage of Enlightenment, a comic about a group of insects that are fighting a unethical technological progress that's kind of overtaking their cottage industry of dung finding. And it's got a lot of relevant stuff there. It's really fun, violent, funny, gut-wrenching at times, hopefully. And you can check that out for free at coreykerr.com/comic. Anyway, check out Nomad. It's awesome. I like it a lot.